going. We're up. Here we go. You good?
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Internet World? With the News 19 Nerds with the Thursday edition of Press Play. We had to switch it a day because
we had some obligations.
We got obligations. We got to see people.
Yeah.
Let them know they're important to us.
Work got in the way, so we decided.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's give it to y'all early.
X gonna give it to you early. Is that too soon? It's not too soon. Okay.
I was trying to think of another X song, but all I got in my head is "They don't know who we be," and I was like, "That's not right."
Yeah, that's not it.
That's not it. So
yeah, all right. Yeah.
Let's start with the news of the week that I thought was hilarious. I finished it. You
were on a crusade against this man. I feel like.
So it's not a crusade against him. It's I feel like people need to be educated about the whole thing and what's going on and how we got to this point. So
Edward Sanchez, hello. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We appreciate you switching the time with us.
It's interesting. You saw him before I did. Like it popped up. You said Edward Sanchez, and then you popped up over here.
Internet might be faster on this than
probably
these things up
this
there.
Damn old school.
Yeah.
Computer that needs a pull start.
Oh, yeah. So I guess we got any pre-show stuff we should do to kind of let people kind of get in the chat before we start on this?
We know that PlayStation has gotten some new stock of their PS5s, and people are upset about that.
Wait, why are they upset?
Because once again, it's online only, and scalpers are right there waiting like hungry hippos.
Side note, what's the new graphics card that everybody wants? The 3080s or whatever. So the 3080 Ti came out today. Best Buy had them in select stores, but you had to be in store to get them.
Yeah.
Which people were kind of like, oh, are we going back to this now? They're hoping that's
well, see, that's the problem. So a lot of people were like that. But the flip side is the PlayStation 5s. You have to pick them up in store, but you can't buy it in store. You have to buy it online. So that's one of the big rubs of what people are upset about. That.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I think that's very interesting. Also, what else happened this week? Hold on.
I'm excited for a movie that I did not want to pay $30 for. Will finally be on Disney Plus tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited about Raya. I just couldn't pay $30 for it. On top of already paying for the streaming service. I guess I could have went to theaters to see it, but I didn't. But yeah, I'll probably watch that tonight when I get off.
What do you think? Oh yeah, that's right, tonight. What do you think will be the first movie you go see?
Oh, in theaters?
Mm-hmm.
Probably Black Widow.
Really?
Yeah. It was either going to be that or it might have been In the Heights. I love musicals. In the Heights comes out next week, but I can just see that day and date on streaming, so that's fine. And I'm going to my lady's brother-in-law's house. He has like a nice surround set up, so I'm gonna watch it. It's gonna be nice next week when I watch that.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Nothing else happened. That's all I
really
about.
Pretty much. I was just trying to give people time to get into this chat. Again, thank you for joining us on this Thursday. Normally we would do Friday. We just got stuff happening tomorrow, so we're doing it today. We didn't want to do a week without doing anything, just because we both enjoy talking to you guys in the chat.
And this is good content. We do this for y'all. The world needs this.
I won't go that far, but you got the confidence for both of us. That's fine.
Do you know why I say the world needs us? Because there's too much animosity in the world, especially in nerddom. That's true. I feel that we bring a level-headed, comedic, informative, not high on the horse. We're not gatekeepers.
Sure.
Who are like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we think.
Sure.
We're not experts. We're just consumers like the rest of you.
Yep.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
And be nice to each other.
All right.
I feel like we need more of that. And I think the people who are in the chat, the people who comment, a lot of people who subscribe to our channel feel the same way.
Sure.
And we've fostered a sense of let's talk about something, let's be critical, but let's not be dicks.
Right.
And I think we've done a good job of that.
Okay.
Well, I think we try to do a good job of that.
We're a work in progress, like everything else, right?
Yep.
So people come in when they come in, and we'll fill them in as whatever. So how you want to start this?
So this week, let's start with the news that everybody was kind of like.
Clean off your soapbox. Dust it off for you. Go ahead.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So this week, some news was announced. I was kind of shocked, but not really. Jupiter's Legacy was canceled by Netflix
After one season.
after one season.
I think the technical, well, I mean, canceled, but I also saw they, and maybe this is a normal thing, I just don't see this all the time in
It is
reporting. Well, no, the thing I saw is they were released out of their contracts.
Yes.
And I don't normally see, when they say canceled, I don't usually see that. That could be a thing that always happens. I just don't normally see it written like that in stories.
Well, the interesting thing about it was the show was canceled. And then they wrote, and then so you saw Deadline, Variety, THR, write the show, the universe itself will live on because they are getting in the same comic universe, Super Crooks. And hold on, and with that being said,
I read the premise and I was like, but you couldn't sell me on your primary show.
well, see,
Why do I care about the villains?
okay, so let's start from the beginning. So back in 2017,
Okay.
it was announced that Mark Miller was shopping.
Mark Miller or Mark Millar?
It's so I've been told it's both.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Miller.
All right.
Because Millar seems a little pretentious, and
It does. Maybe that's what he was going for.
I don't know. But so Mark Miller was, by all accounts, was shopping his universe around. This is, if you all remember, 10 years ago in 2017, what came out that year?
2017? I mean, it wasn't Marvel stuff. I mean, not like, it wasn't Endgame, because that was 2018, right?
So what came out in 2017?
Wait, Endgame 2019? So
No.
then Infinity War 2018?
Keep going.
I don't know, man.
So Endgame.
When did Black Panther come out?
So, okay, hold on. Let's break it down.
I was not prepared for this Jeopardy like
I
quiz
thought
show.
you knew this, like off the top of your head.
No, am I van? I don't know dates like that.
Okay, hold on. So Infinity War was 2018. So 2017.
So that would have been Black Panther? No, Black Panther was the same year as Infinity War, right? Yeah.
No.
2017 would have been Thor.
Okay, Black Panther was 2018. I'm trying to think of what. So basically, 2017, Mark Miller was shopping around his Miller World universe.
Okay.
And the reason why we're doing all this backstory is because a lot of people don't understand what, like, this is what I don't think people understand, how we got Jupiter's Legacy and Super Crooks, and why this is so important, and what happened, and the difference between what Amazon, Netflix, Marvel, Warner Brothers are doing. They're all trying to do the same thing but differently. So we've seen what Marvel has done with their shared universe and growing it from the ground up. We've seen what Warner Brothers has done with their universe. We've seen what Amazon is doing with The Boys. We know that they're going to branch out with a teen, more university type show with some of the same characters. The Boys is getting to season 3. Mark Miller created something called the Miller World or Millerverse. It's basically a lot of creator owned projects that he did. Here's a couple of them. And so this is Super Crooks.
Okay.
Do you know what Super Crooks is? Like, it's basically like Ocean's 11. It's
Yeah, they're getting a heist or something.
So basically, what it is a bunch of criminals get together to rob low-level supervillains get together to rob a huge supervillain.
Okay.
Like one of the worst in whatever this universe is.
Okay.
So Super Crooks is supposedly in the same universe that Mark Miller created as Jupiter's Legacy. So you got that. Then you have Nemesis, my favorite book from this Miller world, and then you have Empress. So I don't know how all of these are tied together, but all of this was sold in 2017 from roughly estimates say anywhere from $30 to $50 million.
Okay.
I couldn't find exactly how much it was sold for, but I just want to give the
ballpark range.
yeah.
All right.
So
Cool.
So the idea was Miller sold his universe because everybody wanted to build their own superhero.
Marvel did it. We can do it.
Marvel did it. They made so much money, and they felt like this was a steal because Mark Miller's other properties,
Kick-Ass. That's the only one I... Oh, Wanted?
Yeah. And Kingsman.
Right, Kingsman.
So those three properties together, combined, grossed over $1 billion worldwide. So he had this universe, and he was smart enough to see the future and say, hey, here's what I have. Now, each one of these books isn't drawn by the same person. So they're all independently owned, half by him and half by whoever the creator, half of the creators. So this is Lineal Yu. Steve McNiven was with this one. Stuart Eminem was with that one. So when the sale happened, people made like 6 figures off of each of these properties because he had done them with different people.
Right.
So that was done so that they could retain the streaming rights, the rights to all these things. At the time, it looked like a steal.
Sure.
Because the word was is that Miller had been writing stuff and not releasing it to the world in a comic form. So what the goal was, what Miller had been doing with Miller World, with a lot of people.
As Leroy talks, IMAX, I hope you were able to make it through this. I'm sorry you took a sleep aid to watch us now.
Yeah.
He says, I'm fighting it. This was a surprise. So for all of our people who normally see us on YouTube, just a heads up, we did an Instagram post about it on our Instagram yesterday and today that we were doing it Thursday. So make sure you're following us on Instagram so you know we're putting stuff up.
Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically the idea was he sold the universe. He sold his world and all his creator stuff to Netflix. Netflix is like, that means we're going to make all of this stuff. Because they had looked at what he had already made and were like, oh, that's going to make this, that's going to make that. So there's other stuff that he wrote that he never released. He wrote or he had drawn with other creators that he never released that could basically come down the pipe from Netflix.
Yeah.
Jupiter's Legacy was the one that everybody was like, ooh, let's see this, because this potentially set up an entire world. And if The Boys was any indication, you can spin off all these characters.
When did Jupiter's Legacy come out?
The book itself?
Yeah, the book.
That was
this is like years ago?
Yeah, it's been over a decade.
Okay, gotcha.
Jupiter's Legacy, the book. Hold on. The comic was first published in 2013.
Okay.
So that's
about 10 years.
Yeah, so it was almost 10.
Yeah.
So it was released in 3 limited series.
Okay.
I think 3, 6, or 4 issue limited series. But either way, so the idea was that they were going to create this world and certain characters would spin off, but also there was other things he wrote. And the reason why I talk about Mark Miller so much, and the reason why it's very important for people to understand why Mark Miller is so important to the movie business and comic business. Mark Miller is the brainchild or the genius behind these things that ended up you saw on the big screen. The Authority, which you haven't seen yet, but because it's owned by DC and Wildstorm, but the Authority allowed him to transition to Marvel to write the Ultimates, which was the basis for the MCU. So when you see Nick Fury as a black guy, that's because Brian Hitch and Mark Miller, when they created the Ultimates, they created a world where if the MCU was born in this timeline or with up-to-date things, how would it look? And they chose Nick Fury. Brian Hitch based Nick Fury off of Samuel Jackson. And that's literally how we got Samuel Jackson in MCU.
Okay.
So Mark Miller wrote Ultimate X-Men, wrote Ultimate Fantastic Four, The Ultimates. So when you see these interpretations of the MCU, thank Brian Hitch and Mark Miller.
Okay.
Old Man Logan, which we then got Logan. That's the Mark Miller art, which Steve McNiven did that. Also, a little book, I don't know if you heard about it, Civil War.
Okay.
Mark Miller, Steve McNiven did that. So that's just like what he's known for. So then he left the big 2, the big 3, whatever you want to call it, and decided to make his own creator-owned stuff. And that's how we got here.
Okay.
Mark Miller decided, I'm just going to do limited series. Now, the whole problem is Mark Miller has been rumored to not write comics for comic fans. Mark Miller has been accused that he writes pitches and they're not fleshed out because the goal is to sell them to movie companies and movie studios to get the money.
Sure.
Option them, and then you sit back and you collect your earnings.
Sure.
Kind of seems like the accusation was a little on the nose, little true.
Well, I mean, even if it is, it's his prerogative, right? Like, I mean, he's not beholden. Yeah. He can write whatever he wants.
He can write whatever he wants. Yeah, and so that's what a lot of people are saying.
Right.
But there are people who are like, they don't like the fact that he'll come up with an idea. It's a great idea, and then he'll write a couple of issues, and it's okay, and then that's it. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the idea from what you see now is that he's written all of these books, created all these little titles,
right,
and then packaged it all together and sold it to Netflix. Netflix spent $200 million on Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah.
To get one season out of
it. Every time I hear about a Netflix show that gets canceled, I still don't understand do we have any finance people in the chat that can let me know how does Netflix stay in business? Because I always feel like they're always in a deficit. Mm-hmm. They're always running a debt, but their stock prices continue to go up, and they continue to make more content. I mean, I know part of that is getting people's information to probably sell it to other people. But beyond that, I just don't know how Netflix stays in business. Having said that, Netflix don't go anywhere. I love you because you give me some weird shows I love to watch.
Yeah.
I'm watching Castlevania now, finally, after everybody talked about how great it was. It is very good. Did you watch Castlevania? Mm-hmm. No, it's very good.
I hadn't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, I just started watching that.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
So Jupiter's Legacy got canceled after one season.
Mm-hmm.
I finished it. You did.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the people why.
Boring.
So, okay.
I mean, it's just plain and simple fact. It was boring. It was kind of hard to follow. Like, maybe they were, and I haven't read the source material, so I don't know if this is how the source material works, but jumping back, spoiler alert for any and all of season 1 of Jupiter's Legacy, since you've seen all of it, I've seen part of it. The time, or the framing device of them jumping back and forth between time frames, or time periods, it was cool, and then I just kind of got tired because it seems like as soon as something was getting good in time frame A, they would switch to somewhere else. It was like, I get it. It kind of builds tension and suspense, but continue plot A or whatever. Don't go back to plot B. You kind of mess them up, the flow of the show. And that just kind of got boring to me, so I think I'm in episode 4, and I have no desire to finish it up. And now that there's a cliffhanger, I don't really care about finishing up. So that's me for Jupiter's Legacy.
I am with you on not having to finish it. I finished it. I wanted to see how they handled it. I wanted to see if the show was going to be better than the trailer. Mm-hmm. I know we got a lot of flack. Well, we got some flack from people who were like, we were hard on the trailer. And I was like, you weren't. You were excited. Mm-hmm. I called it a CW show.
I can't disagree with you.
I called it a CW show. And at the time I called it that, I didn't know it was $200 million.
It doesn't look like it. It does not look like. Well, I guess it's kind of hard to do apples and oranges because I don't know what the first budget for Iron Man was.
I can tell you.
Yeah, you can look it up. But I mean, that for the most part, that movie still holds up. There are a couple of CG scenes that like this looks weird, but for the most part, the first Iron Man still holds up visually to me. So it's hard to kind of compare a movie to a TV show.
You don't have to, because I have the numbers of a comparable TV show.
Oh, okay.
Let's take season 1 of The Boys. How much do you think they spent on that?
$50 million?
$72 million.
Okay, cool. And The Boys looks good. They
also
handled special effects. They pick and chose where to use special effects in The Boys, and they use them when they needed to, and it didn't hold anything back. Mm-hmm. Every time I saw a fight scene for a lot of times in Jupiter's Legacy, it just looked off. And I don't even know if that was necessarily special effects. That could have been choreography as well. But yeah, it just looked off.
I have a problem with
$140 million.
That was a budget.
Okay. Cool.
Of the original Iron Man.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was $140 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot less than that. I wonder if that's over time with inflation or.
That's probably with like the movie plus marketing and all that stuff and everything. I would assume. Yeah.
the reason why I bring all of this stuff up so we can get into Jupiter's Legacy and talk about, and kind of critique what happened and what Netflix is doing is because one of the things you talk about, it was boring, it didn't seem to hold your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen S.D. Knight was the original showrunner for the show, and he left halfway through.
He seems to leave a lot of stuff, because wasn't he also the showrunner for Daredevil?
Correct.
Which I love Daredevil. I know a lot of people don't like the third season. I enjoyed all 3 seasons of Daredevil personally. But I remember Stephen S. Knight being part of Daredevil.
Yep. He was his biggest claim to fame, in my opinion, was Daredevil.
Mm-hmm. Yo.
Hey, BT. So the reason why I bring that up is because that also plays a part in.
Can you send an email to me? Okay, cool. Bye.
Hold on. So John Donuts, it's funny you mentioned that. So I want to get into a couple of things. John Donuts is like Sony TV division. You're right. 4 production companies are listed under Making the Boys for Amazon. Amazon Studios, Original Film, Sony TV, and there's another one. I don't have the IMDb page in front of me. This Jupiter's Legacy was made by one production company, De Bonavista.
Okay.
Which is interesting. How do I say this? You would think if one production company is handling this, costs would be cheaper. You would bring this under. I don't understand how you spent $200 million on one season and you canceled it. And I want to know what the metric was for you canceling it after one season to then go say, I'm going to make another show in this universe with this property.
To me, I think in order to save face as best you can, you got to say you're making another show. At this point, you spent the money, you got to at least try and make another show. Because I heard about the show Super Crooks.
Yep.
Also, aren't they doing a movie?
Yep. There's an animation.
Like, is there an Empress movie coming out?
I don't know about Empress.
Okay.
But I know they own the rights to all this. What's funny, though, he has sold so many other things that are very interesting projects that are going to come out from other people. So here's a couple of things for comic fans you probably know about. So you know about Wanted. Wanted is owned by, I want to say Universal. Hold on, I'll pull up his IMDb page because this is where some of this gets murky. Here we go. Okay. Nemesis was optioned by 20th Century Fox with Tony Scott attached to direct. Superior was optioned by Fox. Super Crooks and American Jesus were optioned by Waypoint Entertainment. But we know now that this needs to be edited because we know Super Crooks is under the Netflix umbrella. Kingsman was produced with, I think,
with Marv, right?
Marv, but also his partner Matthew Vaughn, which a lot of people will remember. Matthew Vaughn was the original director for X-Men First Class, was supposed to do Days of Future Past, left to do Kingsman. And he's part owner of Kingsman. That lets you know how much Matthew Vaughn had believed that he was like, F this X-Men money, I'm going to go do this.
Right.
Then you have Chrononauts. Chrononauts is in development at Universal. Huck, which is basically if Superman was... I want to be very careful with my words. What if Superman wasn't that smart?
Okay.
And not like mentally challenged, but just like, what if Superman was Forrest Gump?
Okay.
I could be misinterpreting that, but that's... then you've also got Starlight, which is basically... Flash Gordon. Sorry, I couldn't... Chrononauts, which is basically It looks like Brad Pitt and Bradley Cooper, or who's the guy who played Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman and Brad Pitt are like scientists who hop through time. So yeah, so those are all his properties. I don't understand the numbers behind this, but I feel like you spend $200 million, you should at least get a season 2. It's $200 million. You
Here's
should
the
get
thing
two
about
seasons.
I get that, but the thing about Netflix is, as shocking as it isn't unheard of for them, right?
No.
We know Netflix will spend money on something and cancel it after one season.
Yeah, regardless of how it is.
They don't care.
Sense8.
I feel like Sense8 is the only thing where it got canceled and they at least let people get a movie to wrap things up.
But that was because,
otherwise, I mean, that's from fan people, whatever.
That was
but
fans.
For the most part, they'll cancel and they don't care.
And that's
doesn't seem like they care.
That's one of the biggest problems of some of these shows that I feel like, unless you get a commitment to do 2 seasons, like we saw Picard was picked up for a second season even before the first season. Mm-hmm. We've seen that with other shows. Unless you get a commitment of a season 2, don't end this crap on a cliffhanger. Now I know what happens. If you read the books, you know what happens. I wanted to see how they were going to handle it.
Do you think it should be illegal if people ended on a cliffhanger?
I think you should be shot, not killed, but like wounded. Like in the leg. Which movie was he was like, nah man, shoot me in the leg, and he was like, John Wick. When the toy maker, the key maker was like, hey, they're not gonna believe me, you gotta shoot.
Yeah.
He's like, you gotta shoot.
Yeah.
You should be shot, because this is what really irks fans and what really is terrible. People watch these shows, get invested in it, and you want that.
Yeah.
Then you don't do a good job because you don't tell a complete story in one season. And now these people are wondering what happened. And granted, some of these shows, like Buffy, continues on in comic form, or I'm trying to think of some other.
I think I read somewhere that there will be comics for Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah,
I know they had the comics in 2013. I think he's going to do like a new series.
Probably. That's what Miller does.
Right.
But that's, to me, a disservice. Edward Sanchez Productions, you said they canceled the Get Down after 1 season. Did it tell a complete story? Because I don't mind if you do a show and you have a complete series, a story arc, a beginning, middle, and end. I'm cool with that. But this right here offended me only because there were a lot of people waiting on this. This was a very ambitious story. Mm-hmm. You should have told one element of the story and not ended on a cliffhanger, banking on the fact, oh, it's Netflix, they're just going to give us more money. They spent $200 million on this and you didn't deliver.
Yeah. To me, I'm not shocked because, again, we know Netflix will cancel stuff. And also, this isn't something, we've seen this before, even before streaming wars happened on broadcast TV.
Yep. Of
shows.
Yep.
They talk about pilot season. A lot of shows will get 1 episode on TV and it's done. We are an affiliate of CBS. CBS, I still believe they're like number 1 in drama and family stuff.
Yeah, because old people watch it.
Yeah.
My in-laws.
I say that to say, so they have a higher standard of what they will allow on TV for their show. Sorry.
2.5 million.
What they're expecting, and when I say standard, I mean standard of viewers. Not standard of quality.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I was about to say.
They have a higher standard of viewers that they need.
2.5 Men ran for 10 years.
Right. So for them, a show that might work on another network with less viewers, they may be quick to cancel it because it didn't hit the mark. For example, Supergirl was originally started on CBS.
Yep.
That got pulled to CW because it wasn't hitting the viewer mark.
Nope.
So it's not unheard of for a big network to cancel a show after 1 season or even cancel it after 3 or 4 episodes.
Because the amount of people you need to watch a major 4 network show is not the viewership you necessarily need if you're an FX. Mm-hmm. I don't believe Archer. I don't want to compare Archer because that's not even the same. Let's take Sons of Anarchy and the Mongol. Is it Mongols?
I don't know what show you're talking about.
the motorcycle show, Sons and Aircraft, and their
Mayans.
Mines. Thank you. The Mongols are actually a real motorcycle gang. My bad. The Mayans.
Yes.
The Mayans doesn't have to hit the same metrics as a CSI.
Sure.
And they're not. It's just not possible because CBS is, you can get that off of rabbit ears, and FX you have to have cable.
Right.
So you're right. Thank you, Circle of Change. Oh, I think that's a new person. Circle of Change.
Circle of Change. Nice to meet you. I'm not sure if you've just kind of been lurking in our chat before, but welcome to the chat.
Yeah. So you don't have to meet the same thing. I really would like Netflix to restructure how they do things, because as much of a fan of the Miller world and some of his properties, and I do get irritated with some of his stuff, but his stuff sets itself up for just one season.
Sure.
Tell one complete story.
Sure.
Do a movie, tell one complete story. And Robin Riddle, yes, rabbit ears are still a thing. You can buy them. They're digital rabbit ears.
Robin Riddle. Sorry, I'll finish your story.
No,
I have something to add. Rabbit ears are definitely a thing. For those who are new to us and don't know, we do work at a TV station, Columbia, South Carolina. We get calls from viewers all the time, or at least I do, complaining about the service they're getting because they're not getting Channel 19 because they still have rabbit ears. Yeah. So rabbit ears are definitely still a thing. They have changed somewhat in terms of antennas or whatever, but yeah, antennas are still alive. People are still using them.
You just have to have digital rabbit ears.
Yeah.
But I'm upset with Netflix, not for this, because I as much as I like Jupiter's Legacy, I feel like, and I'm talking about the comic, the show itself was not done well. And it's partially because you literally changed showrunners in the middle of your production, and you didn't do a good job. Like, I think when you did Jupiter's Legacy, what you could have done was tease a little bit of the backstory in a couple of episodes of flashbacks. Then 2 episodes, guess what? In the past. You're done. Move the F on.
Sure.
And so you stretch that out, and to me, that's just bad storytelling. I don't care if it looks CW. If it's good, it's good.
And I can't remember, I know I'm not the only one, but we've had people in our chat tell us that they watch the CW shows.
Yeah.
I watch most of the CW superhero shows.
You love Black Lightning.
Did I talk about the series finale sucked?
Yeah, you did.
I really enjoyed.
You were very incensed by that.
I was 3 seasons and some change of Black Lightning. I really enjoyed that. Last episode was horrible. Yeah. Really liked The Flash. Really liked Arrow. I love
League of Legends.
Not League of Legends. Legends of Tomorrow.
What's
League of Legends is the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you almost said, yeah. No, that's not right. Legends of Tomorrow, just because that show does not care and they're just wild. They got a show about puppets. They had a show with Cisco singing the song thong. The song thong. Yeah. Singing the thong song. Great show, so wild. But yeah, I really enjoy all the CW shows. And to me, they all kind of have different personalities and they know what they are. I like that about them. So yeah, even though Jupiter's Legacy may have looked like a CW show, that doesn't bother me. It's just
it's pacing, it's writing, it's you have to land it. And the reason why I bring up The Boys came out the gate and was like, we're raunchy, we're in your face, but they still told the story.
Sure.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, as a comic fan, I have both issues. I have the complete run of Jupiter's Legacy. I sold all of my Boys issues except for the first 3. Those are worth some money. I stopped reading The Boys halfway through it got done, and loved the show.
Okay.
Didn't care for it as it kept going. It was a little too much over the top. I loved the show. Didn't like Jupiter's Legacy, the show. Still love the comic.
So, has the TV show surpassed for The Boys? Has the TV show surpassed?
Yes.
Where you read? Okay.
Yes.
All right. No. Sorry. When I meant surpassed, I don't mean quality. I meant surpassed.
Yeah, so the comic itself for The Boys by Derek Robinson, and I'm trying to remember who wrote it. I want to say it's Garth Ennis. The comic itself was okay. It was good. It was very over the top. It was very grungy. I liked it. And then after a while, it just kind of started to wear on me. I didn't stick with it.
Right.
And I sold it. The show surpasses Every episode.
Sorry, when I mean surpass, I don't mean surpass in terms of quality. I meant is the show further in the timeline than you read in the comic book? That's what I was trying to say.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now when you see stuff, it's new to you.
It's new. Some of it's new, but some of it. So like they've jumped around season 2, Stormfront or Storm. What was that lady's name?
Might be Stormfront.
The Nazi.
It's not Storm Shadow. It might be Stormfront.
So she was later on.
Okay.
So they brought her in early. She was not. She was way later.
Okay.
So they got to Haley Joel Osment's character. Remember him in season 1?
Sure.
He was not that far into this. So like they played with time a little bit, but I loved it. I really did. Even things I knew that was happening, like the whale. I knew that was coming.
Okay.
And it still amazed me how well it was done.
Yeah.
So that's why I said to me it's the inverse for the comic versus the show.
John Donuts, I agree. I think a lot of times the problems with the CW shows are they kind of repeat the same beats over in the seasons. Because Arrow, you were kind of facing the same big bad. Flash, you are always facing some sort of speedster, it seems like. I think the Flash is picking up now more recently. I don't know if you fell off. Or you did say you fell off. You may want to jump back in. I think it's picked up some. But to me, one of the reasons I really love Legends of Tomorrow is because they're just so over the top. They're kind of going anywhere. So it kind of lets them reinvent the show each season.
And also is Legends of Tomorrow. To answer me this, because this is something we talked about when we review shows. It doesn't fall into the same tropes that other TV shows do because they can do whatever they want to do.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$72 million versus $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, is it also a thing of Netflix probably overpays for stuff anyway? Like, is it kind of a cyclical thing of people know you can get big money from Netflix, so they charge you exorbitant prices for the shows. Netflix continues to pay them, and it just keeps being a cycle over and over?
I honestly don't know, because who do you think has more money, Netflix or Amazon?
True.
Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon could probably come in and be like, we're buying...
I mean, you can look at The Expanse on Amazon, which is a crazy sci-fi show. Looks really great. I don't know how expensive that is. I imagine it's got to be crazy.
We could look it up.
We could. We're not gonna. But I mean, yeah, maybe they just have their people are just more calculated with how they're spending the money. I don't know.
And that's I guess this is my question: who's in charge of Netflix, and how does that budget come up? In other words, did somebody say, okay, we're gonna do this show, we can do it for this much money, and then you say, all right, let's get it done? Or do you agree to the show, they make it, and then they were like, here's the bill? Kind of like when you go to a restaurant. You're like, I want this, this, and this. And you eat it, and then they're like, here's the bill. Or do you get a menu, and you're like, oh, I'm not ordering that. I'm going to get this and this, because it's cheaper than getting this.
Right.
I don't know. I do know that for $200 million...
Circle of change, that's the $1 million question. Does Netflix even make money? I mean, they have to.
There are videos out. We probably should watch one of them.
I always hear that they are always in debt, but somehow they keep growing their subscriber base.
So, you know, there's different debt companies have and versus...
Sure.
Because we talked a little bit about debt, because when the Warner Media deal happened, AT&T was able to shuffle $42 million worth of debt over to discover this Warner Media deal.
Right.
They took that off their books. So I don't know how that works. What I will say is that Amazon spent $72 million on a one season of a show, and it's now got 3 seasons. They're going to get another spin-off show, and it's doing fine. It's doing great. To the point where they'd even released all of them at once, and then the next season came out, and they were like, nah, 3 episodes every... And then,
sure.
And Netflix dropped 1 season, and that's it. And they didn't get any... Like, for $200 million, you didn't get anything, really.
Right. Robin Riddle brings up... Well, I'm going to bring up Robin Riddle first. Shadow and Bone looked like a big budget, good show. I hope it continues. I just want to bring that up because I enjoyed Shadow and Bone. We reacted to the trailer and we were pretty impressed.
Supposedly Shadow and Bone is getting a second season.
I hope so, because I enjoyed the first season.
And the creators of Shadow and Bone are working on other things too.
Okay.
So
then John Donuts was like, Amazon only became profitable a few years ago. Interesting.
I don't know where Netflix goes with this universe. I understand why they paid $30 to $50 million because in your mind you're trying to compete and build a universe. I don't know if Nemesis lives in the same universe as Super Crooks and Jupiter's Legacy.
Sure.
If he does, how he's able to operate blows my mind because Jupiter's Legacy is kind of like this pantheon of superheroes. How do you let a supervillain on the scale of Batman get away with what he get away with and you don't do anything?
Well, to me, the thing about, and did the season explain, because they always talked about it was these 7 people or whatever it was who got the original superpowers. Then how does so many more people have superpowers?
See, and that's another thing.
Is that explained in season 1 or no? Okay,
Nope.
so that's
and again, that's where I fault whoever was in charge of the show, and that's where I'm like, and a couple other channels have talked about this. Netflix has been accused of letting creators be creative. Now, that's good and bad. They've got shows from Shonda Rhimes, Ryan Murphy, Kenya Barris. Is that
Kenya Barris?
Is it Barris or Burrs?
Bears.
So they spent serious amounts of money to get these creators to produce these shows.
Sure.
I would wager not all the time. Part of the reason why people go to Netflix, we know Kenya went to Netflix because of the meddling ABC did. Mm-hmm. We know that for a fact. He has said after what happened with Blackish,
they pulled one of the episodes. They finally aired it, but yeah.
Yeah, with that whole fiasco was like, yeah, I'll keep making some stuff, but I'm only going to keep making this ish stuff.
Right.
With Blackish, Grownish, Mexicanish, or no, what is it? Sorry, what is it called?
I'm not touching what you said.
Latinish?
Nope.
Whatever it's called.
It's called Mixedish.
No, there's a Latin show he's developing with Eva Longoria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I feel better now.
Yeah, you didn't know
what
that?
am I walking into?
No, so Mixedish is all part of that universe.
Okay, that makes
he's
sense.
working with, I want to say it's Eva Longoria.
Okay.
To make another ish show with Latin, and I can't remember, but it's like
you can look it up instead of sounding racist.
All
right,
my bad.
Cool. There we go. Fine.
My bad.
You keep that.
But he's just doing those.
Okay.
His other things he's doing with Netflix. I can understand why you want to go to Netflix because you
seem to get all your money
and you get whatever you want.
Yeah.
The problem with that is there's no one editing you, and you know for a fact because you're behind the curtain. Michael's an executive producer. Michael's in charge of reporters who write stories, and then they call and they're like, "Hey, can you look at my script?" And him and our managing editor, who is J.R. Barry, our main anchor, will edit, tweak, and hey, what about this? Why don't you have this in your story? Who is their Michael? Because their Michael could have saved Jupiter's Legacy. Because
if not save the show, at least not cost $200 million.
Well, I mean, because you spent every episode had flashbacks in it.
Sure.
Every episode did not need flashbacks.
Sure.
You picked up certain things. There was like great moments, and then it just didn't make any sense. Like I said, I really did not like how this was handled. Mark Miller says that these characters will come back in other forms, maybe in other shows. I don't know how because I don't know what's in their universe. They have MPH, which is miles per hour. We have War Heroes.
I thought you said NPH like Neil Patrick Harris, and I got excited.
No, miles per hour, which is about speedsters.
Sure.
Superior, which is basically Shazam.
Okay.
So basically, all of his shows are basically riffs on
other superhero stuff.
Yes, a lot of his a lot of these are riffs. Like to me, some of his most original work was Empress. Chrononauts was pretty good. Starlight is basically Flash Gordon. I'm trying to think of what else. Wanted was bastardized. I hated the movie Wanted. Loved the book.
Mm-hmm.
The book Wanted is basically supervillains have killed all the superheroes and taken over the world, and now they run it. Kind of like in John Wick's universe, how like everything stops and everybody. That's how supervillains operate.
Okay.
They literally take over the world, and then the guy who gets indoctrinated in, who's based on who Angelina Jolie's character brings him in, he realizes that these supervillains are terrible, and he's going to be a bigger supervillain.
Okay.
And they changed that to totally like, oh, there's this Illuminati, and it was really just piss poor.
Okay.
I really didn't like the movie. I don't know where Netflix goes from here, because
You know where Netflix goes? All right. They don't care.
reason why I say
Netflix does not care.
this is why I say
I don't think they care.
I think they do.
Okay.
Because you just spent $200 million. Somebody on Twitter said Netflix spent the same amount of money Dave Bautista and his party were trying to steal in Army of the Dead on one season.
Sure.
Like, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'd watch Army of the Dead 8 times before I watch Jupiter's Legacy again.
Jeez. Just watch it 8 times in a row, as opposed to 8 episodes of Jupiter's Legacy. All right.
I would.
All right. That's cool.
And I mean, we were very critical of Army of the Dead, but I still liked it. I still loved the ride.
Justice for Gita. All right. That's my piece on Army of the Dead.
Nah, Justice for was it Shimmer? What was the old girl's name? Chambers.
Oh, the badass
Chambers,
girl?
yeah.
Yeah, she was cool.
Chambers.
Give her a spinoff. Let her just go
Samantha
herself.
Wynn.
Yeah.
I would like to also say that he put a lot of stunt women and gave them acting roles, kind of like with Quentin Tarantino did.
With the lady now, I can't think of her name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to get in one other topic. Just talking about E3 is next week.
Yep.
It is E3 has ballooned into something new now because even before coronavirus. Before that, there were just people were like, "What is E3 becoming? Is it whatever?
Yep.
They don't know how to do anything."
Was E3 even still relevant because everybody's doing their own state of play, or
people are still continuing to do that. So now they've kind of had this 2 or 3 weeks long event. Jeff Keighley, friend of the show, Jeff Keighley, has
not a supervillain,
right? Has his own summer thing called Summer Games Fest, I believe is what it's called.
Yep.
And it lasts, I think it starts June 10th. It goes until whenever. So I wrote a couple things down, and let me know if any of this stuff you're like excited for. It's kind of tied to E3, but it's all tied to video games and stuff. On June 10th is the Summer Games Fest pre-festival. I don't really know what it's going to entail, but it'll probably just be Jeff Keighley talking to people about, here are some games you can look forward to. June 11th is Geeked Week. Now, this is a partnership between Summer Games Fest and Netflix.
Yeah, because on June 7th, that's when they start announcing everything from The Witcher, Umbrella Academy Season 3, Stranger Things.
So Geek Week is going to be all of their geek stuff.
7th through 11th, correct?
Yeah. Well, he has it on the 11th, so maybe that's the end of it.
Well, yeah, that's the last day, because I know Netflix says they're starting on the 7th.
Okay, so then, yeah. Also on June 11th is, so I never know how to pronounce his last name, Koch. Is that Koch?
Koch, yeah.
Yeah. So I know the Koch brothers. Mm-hmm. I think Koch Primetime might be under them as well.
One of their properties.
Yeah, but it's
they are billionaires.
Yeah, so that is a gaming conglomerate. They're going to do a show about games coming out. I don't really know anything about them, but it'll probably be big. June 12th that's probably when you consider E3 official, because that's when Ubisoft is going to have its press conference called Ubisoft Forward. It'll be a digital event. June 13th will be Xbox and Bethesda, as well as Square Enix.
Starfield.
Probably. June 14th is indie developers. June 15th is Nintendo.
Nintendo.
June 16th is Steam. And then in July, it's supposed to be EA Play. Sony is not listed anywhere.
Nope. Because they still do their state of play.
Yeah, and I imagine they'll probably announce something. Hey, we got something happening. I would imagine they would have their own thing, and maybe it's not tied to E3, but I feel like they would still want to be in that zeitgeist stuff.
I don't think so.
Game stuff.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope. You know why?
Why?
Because while everybody's doing their thing,
mm-hmm.
and everybody's like, "Where's Sony? Where's Sony? Where's Sony?" And Sony's just sitting back.
I mean,
guess what we got? And
yeah,
and because that's what they always do.
they just did the state of play either last week or the week before for Horizon Forbidden West. They
Horizon Breath of the Wild.
I wish it was Breath of the Wild Horizon.
I mean,
and God of War 2 has been delayed to 2022 now. But it will be coming to PS4 and PS5, I believe.
Ragnarok?
They maybe.
Yeah.
They haven't said that's the official title, but that's what it's leaked or whatever.
That's what I'm calling it. Ragnarok.
But yeah,
that's what they called it.
That's 2022.
And I will say this. I know why they're doing it, but you suck for doing it.
Yeah.
Because I think that if by making it cross-generational, again, I know why you're doing it, because you want to sell the units. It's not a true next-gen game.
Sure.
And you need to. That should be a truly next-gen game.
Yeah, but I mean, that can be another conversation, because there was a while ago when Herman Holst, who's essentially the top guy at PlayStation or Sony PlayStation, said we believe in generations as like a direct opposition to Xbox. Who's like, it can be on everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, there's a clear delineation between PS4 and PS5. And they're like, well, maybe not. So they kind of look like they're,
because they're like, that's 100 million units we're about to miss out on.
Yeah, because
we don't have enough PlayStations out.
Gran Turismo 7 is also going to be cross-gen now, and it's supposed to be PS5.
That's and the reason why they ain't got enough PS5s out.
So,
because if they had 50 million PS5s out,
Brian Gamer, what happened to We Believe in Generations? That they realized there aren't enough PS5s out, and like you said, PS4s. They've
said it ain't changing for the next year.
John Donut says there's a rumor they're going to have a PlayStation Experience event at the end of June. That'd be cool.
I would like it. It would be nice. But I think the one thing that, you know what Sony reminds me of? Sony reminds me now of how they're handling stuff. Kind of like, and we've seen this because everybody's starting to do it. We've been to San Diego Comic-Con. I'm a novice. I'm a rookie. You are an expert. You know what Hall H is like. You know what that experience and being a part of Comic-Con is.
Sure.
San Diego Comic-Con. It's copywritten. Don't use it. They will sue you. How many times now are we starting to see DC does fandom, Marvel does their, and so everybody's starting to do their own little thing, because then all eyes on me.
Yeah, sure.
And so I think that's what Sony's doing. Sony's like, y'all have your little thing, have your little celebration. We'll come out there with VR, whatever. But when we drop this hotness, all eyes gonna be on us.
Right.
And it's gonna be for a week or a day or however long. Yeah. And we're not sharing the spotlight with you plebes.
Okay.
And and because that's what Marvel does now.
I get that. I want it all to come at the same time.
I do too.
Because it's like just a smorgasbord of all video games.
True, but this is the thing. So much stuff gets lost because you're fighting for space with everybody.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that I don't want them to do it. It's not that I don't. I think now we're coming to an age, COVID changed the democratization of the internet, where now we can fandom was a success.
It was. They're doing another one.
They're doing another one. We're going to start to see people now say, I don't need E3. And if you're established, well, I think of Sony, I compare Sony to a Star Wars or a Marvel. Star Wars has their own thing.
Sure.
Star Wars has, what is it? Every 2 years they do their Star Wars whatever. They don't have to go anywhere. Star Wars doesn't premiere at San Diego Comic-Con. They do their own thing because we are Star Wars.
Right.
Sony has started to get that whole, we are Sony.
When somebody brought up the PlayStation Experience, before they had their own thing in December, I think it was called the PlayStation Experience. It was like 2 or 3 days where people would go. If I had to guess, I'd probably say Anaheim. I don't know. And it was just a Sony event about all the PlayStation stuff coming up. It was a cool little event to go to.
I will say that I wonder now, because And I think part of the reason why Microsoft and Bethesda need E3 more so than Sony does is they've got to sell their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We know that right now Sony is selling 2-to-1 to Xbox's 1 of Xbox Series X. That's been reported. You also have to make that $8 billion purchase of ZeniMax worth it.
Yeah.
And you need to get that out. You need to get that word out to everyone. So every chance Microsoft can get, they're going to be out front with like, here's our studio.
Yeah.
Buy our Game Pass. Buy our console. Buy our exclusive games. Where Sony's like, you're going to buy it. We're putting on both systems.
Yeah.
Cool. and they honestly seem, Sony is almost like Nintendo to a certain extent, where Nintendo's like, you're gonna buy whatever Mario crap we put out.
Hey, my Nintendo fans in the chat, are y'all excited about the Mario golf game? Because I am. I'm just curious. I think it's Mario. Is it Mario Strikers? I don't even know what it's called, but I'm excited for the new golf game coming to the Switch at the end of June.
The last thing I bought from Nintendo was the Mini.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, that's the last thing I bought from Nintendo.
Okay.
And I bought that twice. The first one I bought and I sold it on eBay. Second one I bought for gaming. So I might buy a Switch when the new one comes out.
Mm-hmm.
The new Switch that they're talking about.
The 4K model or whatever, yeah.
I might buy that. But Ty Williams, your point, E3 and Comic-Con will soon be indie showcases. Independent developers should embrace that opportunity. That's what I think is going to happen, but I think that's going to happen a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this first 2 years, these conventions and E3 are going to be huge because this is the first time people are able to go out.
Sure.
People are vaccinated. People,
Mm-hmm.
they've relaxed some of these stringent policies
restrictions and stuff, yeah.
And so I see maybe some of your majors, like I don't know if San Diego's gonna come back this year. They have not announced yet.
There's a San Diego Comic-Con event planned around Thanksgiving. That's supposed to be in person this year. I don't know how that's going to look, but they announced that. Robin Riddle, I saw you say PS5 Pro. Is that a thing people were talking about?
Yes. So PS5 is releasing an updated. Sony is releasing an updated PS5 soon. They've talked about that.
That's wild.
Yeah, like. And this is the thing. Who's gonna buy it? Because like they've mentioned in the chat, scalpers are out there like hungry hippo.
Oh yeah, sure.
Buying up stuff.
I still can't get an Xbox, and the more I can't.
Have you been really trying though, or you just been like, oh, let me see if I can get one today?
So I follow this guy Matt, and I'll let everybody know
Not
because
Shmansky.
that's not helping anybody.
I never said I was helpful.
That's not, oh man. What's this guy's name?
And D. Steezel, this is a Celtics shirt, sir.
Matt Swider. He is the editor-in-chief at Tech Radar, and he is a legitimate source who goes around and just lets people know when restocks happen. Yeah. I follow him, and he's pretty good about saying, hey, here's a new restock. And I've tried a few times to get it, but I just can't get it. But I'm not sweating it too hard because there aren't any games to play. So it's all right.
IGN just did a year in review for Xbox, and they were like, yeah, they didn't have to release it last year. They could have released it this year because there's really nothing exclusive that has come out that makes you say, I have to have this system. Because you can play Outriders on Game Pass right now on a regular Xbox. I'd be really interested to see how conventions are going to handle coming up these events. I wonder what's going to be the next big thing. Because fandom is digital. I would not be surprised if they made a in-person fan. Like I could see fandom being an in-person and digital thing this year.
Sure,
depending on when it happens. How they feel about it. I could see Sony showing up, Jeff Keighley being like, surprise, Keanu Reeves in a PS5. You know, Cyberpunk, we fixed it. I could see that, but honestly, Sony doesn't have to. Ty Williams, we've heard that Sony is supposedly changing the PS5 processor, so they don't have to worry about these supply issues, and supposedly they're changing the solid state device because that's also been a problem. The processors, these superconductors, and the solid state devices, because supposedly Sony's updating the now PS5 to allow you to have an external hard drive.
Sure.
But they were supposed to be partnering with somebody to have to have Sony solid state solid. I'm getting whatever the technology is.
SSDs.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That you could put in the PS5 that were exclusive from Sony.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't heard when that's going to happen yet.
Right.
So, who knows? What you looking at?
Oh, now I'm just looking at people talking about Bulls fans.
Oh, that's DC's. Yeah. Yeah, my team got wrecked. Screw you, Kyrie. Oh yeah, the Nets just blew them out. Oh yeah, we were not prepared for that. Oh yeah, I mean when you look at what the Nets had, you're like, they should be in the finals. Now whether they win it or not, I don't know.
Joe Ellis, Dragon Con is the one in Atlanta, right?
Yep.
When is it? Is it Labor Day?
No, it's usually in October, September, right?
Oh, okay.
Right after. So
isn't that Labor Day?
Oh, you're right.
I was like, yeah, that's Labor Day, right?
I gotta work, so I don't know when these holidays are.
I've never been to Dragon Con, and it's not that far from us, so I wouldn't mind going to
August, September is usually, if I want to say, because our Soda City Comic Con changed to October so like now it's in October.
Okay.
They're doing.
You remember Alexis used to work here?
Yeah,
she always go to Dragon Con. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and also there's another one they're trying to. There's an Atlanta Con. So Dragon Con was usually mostly like RPGs and like
anime stuff, probably.
No, it was. I'm trying to remember what it was, and it's branched out to do more comics and stuff like that. But now they're trying to have an actual comic convention in Atlanta. So I'm really excited for this year for nerd stuff, only because we're starting to get back some of these things, and with all these new properties that I know we just trash Netflix for their business practices. What do we know? I don't
even know if we trashed them. We just like to know how it works.
I mean, I kind of went hard on them.
I didn't trash. I just want to know how y'all make money.
Because I'm like, if you're spending $200 million on Jupiter's Legacy and it didn't do anything, shoot $100,000 our way.
Sure.
And I know that's not a real number, but
I wasn't gonna say. I was just behind you, man.
But watch this. Netflix will give it to us if we had a business plan.
Right.
$100. The con in Chicago, I want to say is WonderCon's in California. There's a Chicago con.
They got C2E2. I think is there.
That one, and there's another big one. I think it's put on by Wizard World.
Okay. Probably Wizard Con, I'd imagine. What it's called?
No, I thought it was called something else.
No.
So yeah.
All right, guys, we're winding down. Thank you for coming here on this Thursday.
Thank you for joining us.
We'll be back next Friday. Well, not tomorrow. We should be back, whatever that Friday is.
Yeah, hopefully.
What got you through the week?
Warframe! Suckers!
For me, game-wise, still playing away on that Animal Crossing, trying to make my island as best it can be. And like I said, I finally finished / caught up on Money Heist. That is a fun show. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. But I'm caught up and waiting for season 5 of that. And now I'm watching Castlevania on Netflix.
Oh, Netflix, Love, Death, and Robots. That's another thing I was mentioning.
Okay.
I liked it this season. Wasn't as good as season 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. Guys, we want to thank you for joining us on this Thursday evening of Press Play.
Yeah.
This live stream.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Usually I talk trash. I don't know what to say because my team just got his ass kicked. I don't know.
Love it.
Go Clippers. They will get swept too. Not swept. They go lose. You know what? Go Bucks. Beat the Nets. All right. Circle of Change. Oh, we interviewed. What was her name? Check out our page. We did an interview with
Alexandra Reynosa.
Yeah, her. We did an interview with her. Check it out. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah.
Peace.